this is the first video, and I thought this would be an important first video because understanding engagement rings, you need to understand the basics, which is the anatomy of the engagement ring. So I put up a story on the Lailah Instagram to kind of ask, are you guys interested in a series to help you basically understand everything that there is to know about engagement rings, just to make sure that it is worthwhile creating the content, because as the owner I'm also the content creator and also head of marketing and also head of operations, and you know how it goes in a small business. So I wanted to make sure that this is going to be of use first and foremost, and kind of structure it from there. So starting back to basics, we have to understand the anatomy of an engagement ring. So the first part that we're going to start with is the head, and the purpose of the head is to secure the main stone in place and also elevate it so that light can pass through it. So the head would be every angle. From this angle you'll see everything that holds the stone in place except for the shank would be considered the head. So the head consists of the prongs, the support bar, and also the main stone. So now moving on to the actual stone. So the stone can range depending on a customer's budget and just preference. So at Lailah & Co we do lab diamonds and moissanites, but that doesn't mean that we can't do emeralds, sapphires, morganites. It's just that that is the two standards that I've chosen to focus my brand on. And previously we did cubic zirconias, which is this ring over here, but because of the lower quality and also of the rebranding and the way that I've decided to structure my brand, I've removed cubic zirconia and solely focused on lab diamonds and moissanites, just because of the higher quality and also the price point for customers, because natural diamonds, as we all know, are quite expensive and not everybody has the budget, nor does everybody feel the need to have a natural diamond for the sake of saying they have a natural diamond. So now we're going to move on to the support bar. So in many cases, especially with the designs that I offer on the website already, many of these support bars actually have stones inside of them, which would be the hidden halo. So a hidden halo, I'll show you a close-up of what a hidden halo actually looks like, but the point of the support bar in itself, whether it has stones or not, is to help secure the main stone in place and also distribute the weight of the stone evenly in the setting. It also allows for the main stone to have stability in the prong. So a lot of the designs on the website always have a support bar. It's not to say that there are stones out there or rings out there that don't have a support bar, but it's just not something that I feel comfortable with providing my customers with. And even if they do a custom order, I do make sure that they have a support bar or a hidden halo depending on their design preference, because a hidden halo doesn't always fit a specific design and might look a bit odd. But in most cases where it's something like this, where it's just a pave with one stone, it's typically not an issue to put a hidden halo, and it also just adds an extra element and extra sparkle from every direction, no matter which way you look at it. And because it's the reason why it's called a hidden halo is because from front view like this you can't typically see it, but when you look on the sides of the stone, you can definitely see it, and the light will definitely hit it. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the shoulder. So the shoulder is basically the bit that runs between the head and the actual shank that creates that transition to make the round shank that we know. The reason for it to support the weight of the stone, especially if you have a large one like this one, it helps with the stability and distributing the weight of the stone across the ring. Then we have the shank. So most people call it the band, but it's actually called the shank, and the shank is basically the part that goes around your finger essentially. And with the shank, typically we don't go lower than 1.8 millimeters in terms of the width of the shank, because depending on the metal that you choose and your day-to-day, especially if you use your hands quite a lot or you pick up heavy things, it's very important that that part is thick enough so that it doesn't bend. What is also important about the shank is that it helps with the comfortability of your ring. So depending on the design that you choose for the shank, it's really going to determine if the ring is comfortable to wear or not. So for example, there's a ring that we offer called Kashifa, and Kashifa has a spaced band. What that means is that it looks like a solitaire with just 2 or 3 stones on each side, and it just gives like that bubble effect. But with that, it doesn't make it necessarily the most comfortable ring to wear, so typically we keep the 2 stones on the very top, depending on your ring size, on the top parts of the shank, so that when it goes onto your finger, it's not irritating the inside of your ring finger, your pinky finger and your middle finger, because when you put your fingers together, it can stab your finger in a way, and when you put your fingers, or if you're holding it, if you're clasping your hands like this, it could be uncomfortable. So the shank does, the design on the shank really does depend on the ring size and also the design and how comfortable your ring is going to wear on a day-to-day basis, and how annoying those stones can be when you do this, which is also why when we follow up into a wedding band series, a full eternity can also be very uncomfortable to wear. That's when the stones go right around the shank, and when you clasp band like this or pick up things, it can be very annoying. But then again, it's up to the customer if they want to suffer for beauty, I suppose. Then we're going to talk about the bridge. So the bridge is the part that connects the head to the shank, and it would be this part over here. So in that section, you can get very creative and do a cathedral setting where there's stones underneath there, like a gallery of stones underneath there. You can even, on the inside, you could put like your birthstone and your partner's birthstone, and just to make it a little bit more special. But that's basically what this part would be called. And it's not to say that it has to be plain like this, and it's not to say that you have to completely customize it. It's completely up to you, but it is one of those things where if you do add a design in there, much like the hidden halo, you have to actually like turn your hand, or if you want to show someone, you're gonna have to angle your hand in a certain way to actually show them that there's something there. But it's completely up to you. It's up to whether you prefer a plain one. If you have extra budget to accommodate more personalization, then you can definitely add something there. Then last but not least, very important, is the prongs. So the prongs are what keeps your main stone in place. So on this one, this is an elongated emerald cut. This has 4 prongs, 4 claws on it, and this is the pieces that come over from the setting of the head that holds the main stone in place. And depending on the shape that you choose, this will determine how many claws or prongs that you have. So for oval, you could do 4. For round, you could do 6. For marquee, you could do 6 as well, to protect the corners. So when you do a shape like this that has corners, you want to protect it at all times, because you don't want to knock it. And not to say that it's going to chip, but it's going to affect the stability of the stone in the setting. So when it comes to shapes like these, 4 minimum. For pair, you want to do at least 1, which I can show you now. You want to do at least 1 claw on the very top, the point of the pear shape, because you want to protect the integrity of the stone, and also make sure that you're not going to knock it and it's not going to fall out, because there's nothing worse than your stone falling out, especially if you can't find it. So yeah, that's the anatomy of the ring, and in the next episode we'll obviously cover different stones, the different shapes, the different cuts, clarities, the 4 C's of a diamond. Just thinking about that this is the first episode, and I'm just realizing that this whole entire series is like a giant iceberg, and we are literally at the very, very, very bottom, because there is so much to talk about. There's so much more that I can tell you that you would need to know in order to make an informed decision, because let's just be real, an engagement ring is not cheap. It's definitely not a cheap purchase, and it's obviously something that you want to be timeless and something that's going to represent your partner throughout your lives, and it's a one-time purchase, and you obviously want to get it right the first time. So it's just thinking about this giant iceberg of information that I'm trying to condense into 15 minutes max. It's going to be interesting, so let me know what you want to know more about, and I'll definitely make a video on it.